I wanted to be your right-hand man, not on the left side.
Fine.
Well, see, I know, but
you need that?
on film,
You are now the right-hand man.
on the right-hand side.
So yeah, you heard this thing start.
I did, and I heard you like, you know.
So was this? Did it start for you ever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Before you say anything, when we started, we're doing a CAN network issue here, no comm. When I started and I was identifying while Caleb was setting up, I had no communication with anything. It was all dead. And I'm sitting there punching things in, and then the radio or the chime dings at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that? And then I look at the message on the dash. It doesn't say any. It was like saying ABS fault or something on the dash, and it fired right up.
Yeah, so
and now you see I got codes everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Screen recorder. Here, Danner. Give us a clap.
Is it really?
Yes.
Talk louder.
Do one. Just give us the single. All right. So, whoa. Almost dropped that. We would have seen how
on your right side.
we would have seen how well this screen would have held up here. But anyway, the ones that everyone's looking at right now, those are the modules that are on the car. These three that are grayed out are not talking. The RAD's the radio, and it's the aftermarket radio. So,
well, see, I've seen those boxes crash.
Did you unplug that?
Not yet.
Somebody's been in there and unplugged stuff. Like the radio's like half hanging out of this.
I might have pulled the cover off.
The VCM is Vehicle Communication Interface Module. Don't know if this even has that.
Yeah.
And then the DRR is Digital Radio Receiver. So again, those are all, I think, radio related, those three. Anyway.
Sure.
So you had it the same way. You had
well, he came in, he drove in, he's like, oh, you know, I think
he drove it here.
He drove it here. And someone was following him, and I had nowhere to park. I'm like, dude, I can't do anything this week, you know what I mean? And then it wouldn't start. I'm like, well, I guess it's stuck here then, you know what I mean? So we pushed it in, and then every once in a while I would get it to start, but when it did start, it wouldn't stay running. Or, you know what I mean? It was very intermittent, you know what I mean? And then the wipers would go off for no reason, you know, all kind of stuff, you know, and then I was able to talk to it, and I saw like a bunch of like injector power codes.
I see that. Like, do you think someone was in here unplugging stuff?
I don't think
messing
so.
around with it?
I don't think so. I think all those
like injector
are legit.
control, fuel pump relay circuit, control module, ignition off timer performance.
Yeah.
That's going to possibly be power distribution box related.
Maybe. You know, I mean, I was like the way it was at, and then but see,
throttle
sometimes
position map.
It won't even crank though. That's
I
the
know.
problem. It was just turn the key nothing, and then sometimes it would try to crank and then stop, and because it's a tip start, you know what I mean. So it would try and not try, and so it's just been here since last Friday.
So you haven't gone any further than that. Just you were able to scan it, saw a whole bunch of codes, and then I saw the same thing. When it doesn't crank is when I'm not communicating. So when I had no comm, I tried to crank it, it wouldn't crank.
Yeah, and then for like the day it was here, once we got it in the building, I had to push it everywhere because it would not crank. It wouldn't even crank. So it's been sitting here since Friday.
Gotcha.
So.
And I was excited about doing a CAN network fault until it started, and now I'm not.
Well, maybe you just got bad ground.
Oh, we'll see. We shall see. Okay, cool. All right.
So that's all I know, man.
All right, we're on it. A couple things for you guys. I want to update you on what I'm using here. This is the Autel Ultra, and I wanted to just say a couple things about the tool. One is some feedback I got from you guys on our last YouTube video. Involved not a lot of criticism, but a few points of criticism that I am taking to heart, and that is that I maybe complained a little bit about certain aspects of the tool, and what I want you guys to understand is I'm just speaking from the heart, and I don't know, so flat out, I do not know this tool yet. In fact, between the last video and this one, I've really done no additional work with the tool than what I'm doing with you guys right now. And so I'm learning on the job in a sense, and I'm gonna speak my mind. And so what I want you guys to understand is that I'm gonna complain about the tool at times because some of those complaints are coming from me not knowing the tool. And so just know that going into this. Those of you that have been following me for a long time, there's many things that I've complained about with the Varus, which is my go-to tool typically, that I've complained about through the years, and nobody calls me on that. So just keep in mind, my loyalties, guys, do not lie in the tool companies. Yes, this tool was sent to me and I'm loving it, but I don't have to speak kindly about the tool because it was given to me, and I'm not going to. I'm going to complain about certain things. Some of my complaints are going to be legit. Some of my complaints are going to be because I don't know the tool yet, and you guys are just going to have to follow me through that knowledge. All right, so given the situation that we have, which is a no-com across the board, I need to try to duplicate this fault. And I think maybe we'll start with looking at our CAN network signals, see what they look like, and we'll monitor those as we're attempting to recreate the fault. I think that's going to be step one. All right, so before we do detailed CAN analysis and looking at the scope and trying to figure out what's going on there, I think we stay focused on the scan tool, because right now we do have communication. I did mention or showed you guys the codes that were on here. This control module ignition off timer performance, that is one where that maybe suggests a voltage issue. Caleb, do you remember the Hyundai that we did with all kind of CAN network faults years ago? Maybe not years ago, a year or so ago at Pete's, that ended up being a broken wire to the S post of the starter. And it was a push button start system, and it had all kind of weird codes that were like this. Control module ignition off timer performance. So just initial thoughts. Let's go back. That was our powertrain control module. The anti-lock brake system has one code, and this one is device 1 low voltage is the code that's in there. I do have a maintainer on here, and while I was getting everything connected, I've had a charger on it. I'm not sure that that's related, but that's why you see the 13.5 volts up here in the corner, the right hand corner of the screen. That's our system voltage right now. But device 1 low voltage on the ABS. Let's keep going. The supplemental inflatable restraint or airbag system, the SIR module. Left front seatbelt buckle pretensioner. Left front seatbelt buckle pretensioner. Not worried about those. Not for what we have going on here. BCM, we have 11 codes in the BCM. Dimming request, turn signal, low brake fluid, device voltage malfunction, retained accessory power circuit low. So some other low voltage codes. Security system sensor data low, security system sensor data high, high beam circuit, short to battery, front wiper relay drive circuit high. Remember Danner said the wipers were going off. Class 2 data link malfunction, so a U1000. I think a lot of those are going to be related to our network that's crashing. The IPC. Class 2 data link malfunction, U1000. Lost communication with electronic brake control module. To answer maybe some questions again from the last video where I was using the Autel and complaining about the RPO codes I had to enter for a GM, what I've learned is that is pretty standard for the GM factory service or factory scan tools, that they make you do that. And the Autel is kind of basing their platform off of the factory tool setup, and so these are things that I'm just not used to. I still think I should be able to identify a vehicle without RPO codes, but whatever. All right, so there's something else here, and I just had a call into my friend Chad. Okay, good, he called me back. All right, so we'll do this together. So what we're going to be talking about, Caleb, why don't you get while we're waiting for the compressor to shut off, let's get a shot of the setup I'm using. I just have a line spy connected to the data link connector, just so I can get the pin out so we can do some CAN tests. And I just have my VCMI connected to the data link connector. That's it. Just want to be clear on that before I call my friend Chad and we get some info on what this Autel is doing. All right, I'm gonna call him now.
Autel Diagnostics, this is Chad.
Chad, hey, it's Paul Danner.
Yes, sir.
Hey, good to talk with you, and thank you for doing this with me. I didn't want to misrepresent this part of the tool and have you yelling at the screen at me again.
Absolutely, I am happy to help. I would more rather help you this way than yelling at the screen and sending you text messages.
Yeah, no, okay, so I learned through the comments, which is cool with my community. I learned from them and from you and others that this tool has the ability to look at CAN network waveforms through the VCMI, the scope, without connecting the oscilloscope leads. Is that correct?
That is correct. We can actually dedicate one of the channels on the 4-channel lab scope to communicate through the OBD2 cable.
All right, that's awesome. And so to get to that mode, this is for my audience too. I'm talking to you guys as I'm talking to Chad. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I noticed I'm in the factory mode right now. I need to stop talking to the vehicle and then go OBD2 to access that feature. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we definitely need to, there's two options. We can do that from the measurements tab on the main screen, or we can do that through the scope channel 4. Now, if you are on the OBD2 screen or the factory information screen, you can actually split screen to get to your scope.
But I think when I tried to do it through OBD before, when I was communicating via factory, it said the module's already in use and you need to stop talking to it to go to OBD, correct?
Yes, correct. So I would say go ahead and back all the way out of your live data.
Okay, so there's two ways then. If I'm going to go back. If I'm in the factory mode under diagnostics, let me go back to that. Just want to make sure that I heard you correctly here, that I can use channel 4 on the oscilloscope, which does the same thing as that OBD mode.
Exactly.
Okay, and so
icon.
I'm not yet. I'm back in the factory mode. I'm looking at the topology screen right now from here.
So when you're in the OE information for doing bidirectional controls active test,
right?
If you want to operate your scope, you can do it the exact way you just talked about. Split screen, open up the scope, and scope with the actual 4-channel leads. However, since we're using the OBD2 connection to use that for the OE information,
yes.
I can't scope and OE information at the same time on the same cable.
Okay, so either way then, I'm still, to access this OBD feature that you guys have, I need to stop talking to the OEM.
Yes. We're going to recommend that you go all the way out to the beginning.
Yeah, hold on.
You can do that by pushing the picture of a car with a down arrow on it.
Yep.
That will take you all the way back to the MaxiSys home screen.
Yeah, it took me to, I was under history, but that's fine. I'm on the home screen now.
Yep, so you'll see that you have the measurements icon in the bottom left corner.
Yep.
We can select that.
Yep.
You're going to see two options. You're going to see OBD and oscilloscope.
Right.
The easiest and quickest way, if you're just going to see if you have CAN network communication, is you can click on that green OBD button.
Right.
And that will give you the high and low CAN on pin 16 and pin 14.
Right, and I saw you can I
14.
saw you can change that too if you wanted to, I guess.
Exactly. So you can change those when you're actually in the oscilloscope functionality. On this one, we kind of isolated it down to just your high-speed CAN, low-speed CAN.
Okay. Yep.
Since you want to see more, let's go ahead and go back to that one screen where it says oscilloscope. We're going to click that blue left button in the top left corner.
All right, 1 second. Let me go back to that. So oscilloscope, I'm there. Yep.
Okay. So if you are connected to the oscilloscope via Wi-Fi,
I already am. Yep.
and you will see in the top left corner there is a play button.
Let me pause there for 1 second, Chad. To my audience, in my last video, I had connected my lab scope via a USB cable. Caleb, remember me about that? We didn't have to.
Oh, I already put a note in.
Oh, you put a note in that? Perfect. We didn't release this part. That one will be on the premium channel where we used the scope on another video, Chad, but I was complaining about that and I didn't know. This is why I need to watch my friend Chad's videos. I didn't know that we could connect the lab scope via a Wi-Fi connection, which I am this time. So anyway, go ahead, Chad.
So you'll see up in the top left corner, you have a green play button.
Yep.
And that will actually turn your scope on.
Yep.
Now at the bottom of the screen, you'll see A, B, C, and D for your channels.
Yep.
If you select the D and channel D, you will have the option, it'll say DLC channel.
I see that.
So that gives us the ability to go directly to the DLC
Yeah.
and use that OBD2 connection. Now you'll notice on your on that cable that plugs into the car, it'll say 2.0 on it.
Yes.
So basically what we've done is we've enhanced the speed of that connection, far surpassing what you would normally use when you're using your OE diagnostics. So that makes it so this cable now can run the oscilloscope functions through that directly.
That's cool, and that's tied to channel 4 on the lab scope.
Exactly. So now when you select that DLC, now you can select the different pins that you want to see, whether it's high-speed CAN, low-speed CAN. If you're running anything via FlexRay, you can just check your powers and grounds there as well.
So is the default for the DLC on 4, is it on channel 4, I have to tell it then what pins I want to talk on?
Yes, you would check, select the pin that you want to talk on.
How do I do that within here?
Sure, so whenever you select the DLC channel,
Yes.
you should have an option pop up of which pin you want to be on. You see that?
No, I do not. That was my question.
Okay. I haven't done it enough to know from memory yet.
So I have under the probe settings, DLC channel. So all right, so it would be right now it's on auto DC. If I click that box, then I can pick my time base or my voltage scales, probe setting, probe edit, low pass filter, and then it says DLC channel.
Yes.
All right, and right now it's off, so I want to enable that. Oh, cool. Please keep VCMI charged. Yeah, and then on here I can select it. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I get this real low amplitude waveform. So I wanted to make sure before I talked about that. This car is a communication issue, but right now it's communicating and starting, and so I questioned this waveform. Is this accurate? And so what I would do, not talking to you, is I'd grab a lab scope lead and connect directly to see if this is in fact an accurate signal. Because even on a 5-volt scale, I mean, I'm like a half a volt pulses going on here. So I would question that myself. And then I noticed as well the amplitude for the DLC channel, the lowest I can use is 5 volts. Obviously, that's a tool. These are tool default settings that I got 5, 8, 12, and 24 are my only scope scale settings. Which is fine. I mean, under normal circumstances, a 5 volt would be perfect, but not for what I'm looking at.
You always seem to find the hard ones.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I can see it. I can trigger off it. It's really difficult to trigger off of this is less than a half a volt. I'm literally getting like 0.2 of a volt peaks on the waveform. So, I mean, I know off camera to adjust that lower, and it looks like the DLC channel defaults you cannot, which is fine. It's not a big deal, but this is where I am with the car. From this point, I'm troubleshooting. I just wanted to make sure that I got that right. My next step for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in thinking this way, is I'm going to connect the actual lab scope, say channel A, and connect to pin 6 and 14 directly and see if that's the same thing that I'm seeing right here.
So just for your reference, if you go over to the left side of the screen where it has the scale and the grounds, positive and negative, right?
Yes.
Go ahead and tap that and it should light up.
It did. The line changes, like the channel. I don't know that it lights up, but okay, it does. Okay, yes.
Yeah. So now take your fingers and just pinch it bigger, like you're making a photo bigger.
Yeah. Wait. Yes, it does. Sweet. Okay, I was trying to do that before, but you have to highlight it to do that. That's awesome. That gives me a lot better control of where I can put my trigger too. Sweet.
Because if you have multiple channels running at the same time, it doesn't know which one you want to make bigger or smaller.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Sweet. Okay, cool. All right. And so if I have a discrepancy between my lab scope and this DLC channel on this truck, you guys would want to know about that, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely want to know if you ever find an issue or something doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah, I mean,
we want to know so we can figure out why.
For sure.
And correct it.
Yeah, in my opinion, this thing should not be talking to me right now with this kind of network signal, and it is. So interesting that it looks this way. But I'll keep you posted, or you'll see it in the video whenever we release it. Chad, I appreciate your expertise here, and if I have additional concerns or questions, I'll make sure that I'm giving you a holler rather than doing something stupid on camera.
Right, absolutely. And make sure you check out our videos on Autel Tools on the YouTube channel for anything specific along those lines. I'm not going to teach you how to fix cars like Danner does, but heck, I can show you how to use the tool.
Heck yeah, we need that. So I need that myself. I need to spend some time there myself. So when we get off the phone, Chad, make sure you send me a link to that channel, the channel page, and then I'll post it right here as we're talking in this video, so our audience can learn this tool outside of watching me fumble through it.
Absolutely, I will definitely send that to you.
All right, thanks, Chad.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
Thanks.
All right, bye. Okay, I hope you guys followed that. I really felt it was important to talk with Chad because I'm looking at this waveform, and the car is talking to us now. So I believe what he told us though is while I'm looking at the lab scope screen, we're still connected to this network signal, that I can't communicate via the DLC while this is active. So, but I'm saying that it's strange to me that I'm seeing this signal and the car's still talking to me. So let me turn this off. And I want to exit the scope, go back to diagnostics. We're going to talk to this car again. Just see if it's communicating. And we'll do a fault code scan. And it is. The reason I know that it is when this was not communicating off camera, it finished the total number of DTCs you see counting at the top. It went from 0 to 100 and was done, and everything was still the same color. It was still kind of grayed out or blue. And so we are talking on this, but that is not a good looking CAN signal at all. And I want to compare that and make sure that's right. And to be clear about what we just showed, the tool has the ability to see the CAN network signals via the data link connector without connecting the lab scope. I mean, technically, the lab scope is connected. And I think that's super cool. One of the things that I had complained about using this was the lab scope was not on the back of the tool. Remember me saying that, Caleb? And for you guys that want to see the video that Caleb and I are referencing right now, it was a 2010 Nissan with a no communication problem, a CAN network fault that you can find on ScannerDanner Premium. One of the things I was complaining about was the scope's not on the back of the tool, and I got all these leads everywhere, and then I'm tethered to the tool, and I was wrong about the tethering. It's Wi-Fi, that's great. But the other advantage I guess you can see right now with being the scope wired directly to the data link connector, they've taken channel 4 and wired it in this cable to the DLC so you can do direct measurements. And so he had mentioned this being a some type of 2.0 port. For that reason, this cable, there's one other thing that I need to consider, and this is again my own fault for not knowing my tools. I had this switch in this position, and I'm not sure exactly. I know this switch like isolates it. Or is this one? To be honest with you, this is again my own fault. Which position do I want that switch in? What do my CAN network signals look like in the other position? I should probably check that first. You can see these are pulsing now, and it's not with that switch on. That might have been my fault. Let's look at that again. Now I feel stupid, Caleb. And the reason why is I'm using tools that I don't know them well enough yet. Two ways to look at it. One is we learn together, and two is, hey Danner, you need to learn the tool before you talk to us. You all fall in one of those two categories. No, that's still that same very low amplitude signal, although it is riding over top of 2.5 volts now. That definitely looks different. We were hovering around 0 before, and this signal is hovering around 2.5. So surprising to me that this thing can talk at all, having a waveform that looks like that. I need to ask Chad one more thing. Let me switch my box again, make sure that I'm not doing something dumb. Okay, that isolates it. So when I flip that switch, I lose my signal altogether. All right, that would be for resistance measurements. That isolates the tool from the box. That's what this switch does. It basically, it's like me disconnecting that cable right there. And then the top switch, yeah, that definitely changes it too. Let me, I need to adjust my scales. We'll show that one more time. Let's turn the trigger off. You guys will be able to see what this does. When I flip that switch, let's go a little bit longer time base. No, we don't want to trigger it. Let's go 20. There's our data packets that look crappy. Flip this switch over here. Yeah, you see that line goes down to 0. So I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to Carlos and ask him what this is doing. But that's why we were hanging around 0, is that switch was flipped. I am calling Chad one more time.
Autel Diagnostics, this is Chad.
Chad, hey, Paul Danner.
Yes, sir.
One more question.
Ready.
In the oscilloscope using channel 4 in the DLC mode, I'm looking at my waveform on the screen, and I only have one, and I don't know can high and can low. So I'm looking at which one. Is it just comparing between the two?
No, you should be able to pick which pin you want to be on for channel 4. So you should be able to pick.
Oh, so the blue.
Which one? So you may not be selecting the pin that you want to see.
I am okay. No, it's on 6 right now. Okay, I got it. Okay, and then 16. My fault. I should have. That should have been obvious to me, and it was not. I apologize. I could have pushed some more buttons and not had to call you.
No, you're fine. So yeah, you should be able to get to most of the pins via that channel.
All right, perfect. And I guess only the ones that are highlighted would be the ones I can switch to, or no? It looks like I can switch to any of them. Awesome. Okay, cool. Perfect.
So one of the things that you'll notice that I'm working on, you highlighted it earlier, was that it comes in weird increments: 5, 8, 12, 24 volts.
Yes.
If you have your other channels, like say you're running channel 1, 2, and 3,
yeah,
and you have 4 to the DLC, you can't always make them line up because of that.
That makes sense.
So I'm working on them to get that corrected, but just so you know, so he doesn't kind of throw you off when you're doing your shoot.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks, Chad.
Appreciate you, sir. Thanks.
All right, talk to you later. Bye. This is a lot of learning this tool on this one so far, which is fine. It's what we need to do. Represent it right, which is important for everyone. Okay, so I can switch it, and DLC channel, I just turned that off by accident. This is pin 6, 5 volt, and it should be live. Okay. Pin 6 is can high, and pin 14 is can low. So this is our can high signal. Not what it should look like, even though this thing's talking to us. Then let's switch this to pin 14, and it looks like every time that I switch it, that zoom feature changes, which is not cool. I wanted that zoom to stay the same, 2.75. So Autel, if you're watching this, if I'm switching between them, I really want my zoom level to stay the same. I don't want to have to readjust that. I'm at 2.76 volts as like my median line, or the line we're switching from. And if I switch this to 16, it resets the zoom level. I think that could be easily adjusted for. Yeah, this is 2.69. It essentially looks the same switching between can high and can low. All right, so that's it. That's with the data link. I'm gonna go to the scope now. I'm more familiar with that, and we'll compare what we had on this DLC feature of the tool, and we'll go from there. So let me grab, I'll grab 2 leads. I forget what the first 2 are. I think they're red and green. Let's take these 2 guys over. So we'll go red, we'll go can high. Black, we'll go to chassis ground. We'll go channel 2, we'll go can low. Share that same chassis ground. Come over to our lab scope. Turn these 2 guys on. I was learning the tool more than anything so far. So I really didn't do a whole lot of anything yet. I got on the phone with Autel and was talking with them, and I'll tell you, one of the features that is really awesome with this tool is this yellow trace right here that you see on the screen is coming from the data link connector. So in other words, what I learned I can do with this tool, which I have not been able to do with anything I've owned, is I can connect this to the car, and literally they've taken a portion of the lab scope, because this is the lab scope, and they've tied it into channel 4 in through this, so I can scope the CAN lines without connecting a scope. Because my scope is my communication device. They've wired channel 4, and that's what we're looking at on the screen. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way that should look like that, because I wouldn't have communication. It's not a 2.5 to 3.5 on CAN high, 1.5 to 2.5. It's like this little itty bitty signal. And now I just connected my lab scope to show that in fact that is accurate. That is an accurate representation of this waveform. You see the amplitude of that yellow trace is exactly what the green and the red is. And I can switch that here. This is through the DLC. I can look at 14 as well. Where did it go? It's way up there. So yeah, that shouldn't look like that, Danner, is the point. Those network signals are there, but they should not look like that. Let's trigger this and I'll show you. And then I can do amplitude too. So
you have like a 2-3, like a half a volt swing.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you highlight that, then you can zoom this way.
Okay.
And the same thing with the green if I want to make that one bigger.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Pretty cool stuff, man.
Yes, you're like 3 times the volt.
Those shouldn't look like that. That's CAN high and CAN low. And why does it look like that? How is it communicating right now? I have no idea, but it is communicating. I would love to see it when it's not communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably flatline.
Yeah.
But the sawtooth pattern, I forget what causes that. Something's pulling it down though. One of these modules is probably pulling it down. We should do a resistance measurement. I think that's the next step, Caleb. We're going to do a resistance measurement on the CAN network. So I need my multimeter leads to do that. Let's go grab them. All right. You remember the last one we did where we've gotten burned on not disconnecting the battery doing a CAN network resistance check. I've gotten away with it before. I've had systems in cars where I can do the resistance check and not disconnect the battery, but other times I do. So we'll do it first without disconnecting the battery and see what we have. That might not be a wise decision to do that, but that's what we're gonna do. Some behind the scenes footage of Caleb helping his father.
I need help. I do everything.
You do everything, you do. I just pay you and I just hang out all day long and sit on my ass.
I mean, I came down yesterday a couple times and you were napping, so.
I was working hard first before I napped.
I'm sure you did.
Caleb just got a big fat pay raise, so
I'm cutting that. What are you talking about that?
Well, I'm not telling him what I'm paying you, but I'm paying you well for what you do for me. And the audience agrees that you are worth every bit of what I pay you. Let him know, guys, what you think of his contributions to the SD channel and what he has done. Are you happy with your lighting now? Look at this kid. Yeah. Light over there, light over there, wide angle lens. Are we? That's an awful sound. What? Are we using the wide angle lens today?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Something I forgot to tell you guys or show you. We were talking about the lab scope in channel 4. If you go to OBD, and I didn't really spend time in here, it has it defaulted to 6 and 14. And we can view it right here. So there's your waveform. And it's easier to switch between 6 and 14 here. This is specific to the OBD function. You're really in the lab scope And so you guys know now this is channel 4 that we're actually using on the lab scope through the DLC internally connected. Cool stuff, cool stuff. All right, what are we doing now? Multimeter. All right, so 6 and 14, I'm connected between the two. We do want to isolate the VCMI, and to isolate the VCMI, we now know if I flip this switch, I just disconnected my tool from the DLC. Let's make sure, and we can check to see under the diagnostics if I have communication. We should not now with the DLC isolated. Let's try a fault code scan. And yeah, it's going through and it's not reading. Everything's staying grayed out because that's what this switch does, is it isolates the scan tool. So we can just unplug it, but the switch isolates the scan tool, which is really just another node in the network. If you look at this topology list, the scan tool is another one. All right, and then just using the lab scope, going between my leads, COM and volt ohm diode scale. Now we go to measurements, multimeter. We want to switch this to resistance. I didn't calibrate the leads. We're gonna have to do that. Yeah, this is showing 40,000 ohms. So let's put these two channels together. Let's go the other way. I have these backward. Not that it really matters for measurement purposes, but it does matter when I want to short my leads together because I want to do it on this end. Okay, good. And then 6 and 14. And that says OL. Is it saying OL? Change the range, please. Amplitude's 50K. Let's auto range that. What? Shorted together. It's good. Okay, it's good. 6 and 14. Why is it going from OL to 0 ohms? We had a reading there before. Oh yeah, 3 million ohms. We got some major issues here. All right, I'm gonna disconnect the battery. I'm not gonna trust these readings right now. I actually have the key on too, like an idiot. I could at least turn the key off. Key is now off, and let's, what is this thing? 10 millimeter, looks like. Yeah. Okay. We have an issue with my understanding of this switch. Not only did this switch isolate the scan tool, it also isolated this from the DLC, because with the switch off, I got 300,000 ohms of resistance. I flipped the switch on, it went down to, I watched it go down to 170 ohms. The hell? Was that a coincidence?
Hey, can I pick your brain real quick?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like I am losing my mind here on this tool, and this is another example of, Danner, you should learn your tool. 6 and 14. Now it's open. It literally is open. It's an open network signal. If it's open, how is this thing even talking to me? Remember, sometimes it doesn't. I'm calling Carlos at AES. This is like a tool review video. Learn your damn tool before you use it. Hey,
right, what's up?
You're on camera. Is that okay? Your voice is anyway.
I'm on camera?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have a question on the line spy tool and these switches.
Hey, Caleb can edit this, right?
Caleb can edit this. If you would like your voice eliminated or anything you say that sounds dumb, we can cut it.
Okay.
I'm struggling on this CAN network system on this car, and my line spy tool and the two switches, I just want to make sure I'm representing the tool properly because I feel like I'm not, and I want to know what the two switches are actually doing.
Okay, the switch in the top left edge.
Switch on the top left that has a little LED light that lights up when you flip
Right.
it. Yes.
Right. That one turns the yellow LEDs off and on.
The yellow LED, so on, I guess if they were talking, it would, right?
Yeah, so I think if you turn the switch so that the red light is on,
Yes.
that means that your yellow lights have been disconnected from the circuit.
The yellow lights, gotcha. So all of the ones that are not lit right now, these four, or would be the yellow lights Carlos is talking about, that just turns those bulbs off, isolates them.
Correct.
Okay, so if we're doing network resistance measurements, we would definitely want that switch off.
Correct.
Okay, got it. And then the main switch on the front then does what?
And that switch that you're referring to is the one on the right by pin 16.
Yes.
So that isolates pin 16 so that if you don't have power from the car, you can bring in power from another source.
Oh, okay. So you can literally take an external power to feed to your data link connector. Instead of tracing down a wiring problem on pin 16, you can feed one in there and then maybe have communication with the car.
Right. So it'll power up the
So all that's doing is taking and isolating pin 16, and I notice the chassis ground and signal ground LEDs obviously disappear because those are being lit by that supply, because you have a power and a ground then, and if you're isolating that from the tool, that's why the green LEDs would turn off on the signal ground and chassis ground LEDs. Okay, got it.
That's it. Yeah.
And so when you're doing resistance measurements, then there should really be no effect with that switch. I can leave that switch on
Right.
if I so choose to.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's what I needed to know. I got some other weird stuff going on with the resistance readings, but at least I have that info, and I don't think we need to cut any of that. This is Carlos from aeswave.com, and if you're interested in a line spy, you can find that link in the description. Carlos, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
I'll have fun working.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
All right, bye. Man, that's 2 plugs. We haven't even really done anything to the car yet. I'm like learning tools today. Caleb's shaking his head back there. This will be good stuff. A multi-part series. Watch Danner not fix a truck and learn his tools. That'll be the title. So here's where we are. I cannot explain to you guys why when I flip my switches, there's so much impact gun noise today. It's awful. I can't explain to you guys why when I flip that switch that I'm having a resistance change on the network, because I really shouldn't be. But I think the 45,000 ohms number is what I keep seeing. And this is with the battery connected too. We'll have to disable that. When I flip the top one on, which energizes those other circuits, we go OL. So I don't want to have that. And I don't know why when I flip it off, it goes from OL to 0. It shouldn't be doing that. But flip that switch off, turn that one back on, it goes back to 45,000. Disconnect the battery. And our network resistance continues to climb. Continuing to climb. And now it's dropping. It's all over the place. I shake the car. It was doing some weird stuff too. 2.8 million ohms of resistance on the CAN network. How is this thing even talking? No wonder the amplitude was so low. Now where do we start? Where's our terminating resistors? Wiggle testing. go inside, look at the radio real quick. I'm starting with the radio because look at what we have.
No radio.
We have an aftermarket radio. The face is missing, but it's an aftermarket radio. And if this wasn't done right, we can have some issues where we can pull the network down. So I'm just doing a real quick inspection. I'm gonna start by unplugging this radio. And somebody was already in here, and I don't know why they had this apart. So that's what I'm doing here. So what they do with these is they put in like this little module. I think I put one in my truck too when I put my radio in. That's this guy. I think. I mean, that just looks like a buzzer. That did nothing to my network. Neither did that. So it is not going to be either one of these. I don't know why unplugging it is not a short. We're talking about very, very, very high resistance in this network, and I'm a little bit unsure of where I want to begin. I need a diagram for my topology, my network communication diagram, and then we're going to unplug modules and do, if you remember, the Nissan factory diagram had us unplugging modules and measuring the network at different modules. That's what we need to do. That is absolutely what we need to do. So I need to print up a diagram. Let me have Danner do that for me. Is it 6 and 14? Might be attacking this thing all wrong. There's nothing even attached to 6 and 14.
On what, the computer?
Yeah. So this is class 2 serial data. This is not even a CAN network. So I'm
Class 2 here.
These are things that you research before you talk to everyone and try to tell them what you're looking at. This is a class 2 serial data. This is a, what's that guy? Body control module. So I'm not even looking at it properly. Pin 2 is my wire. There's nothing even connected to 6 and 14, which makes perfect sense now, Caleb, on what I'm seeing with my line spot and why those numbers are all wigged out. Because I'm trying to measure 6 and 14 and there's nothing even there. How am I even getting a signal on 6 and 14? How was I even getting a signal there? This is an 05, right? Let me just make sure. Print that for me.
I did.
Yeah, it's an 05. To everyone else, my apologies for where we are so far with this diagnostic process. I am trying to learn tools. I am trying to get you guys information on those tools. At the same time, I'm troubleshooting a vehicle, and then I have a camera in my face. And this was all wrong in how I approached this so far. All the lessons we learned were good as far as the tooling goes. However, the reason we're getting weird waveforms and that the fact that it talks to us is this is an older design. This is not a CAN network. These are single line communication, I believe. And they're 0 to 5 volt square waves, I think, maybe 0.7, and it's only one line. It's on pin 2, and I am a little off on the vehicle. So let me get the diagram. Let's go back over and redo some of these checks. Stupid. We need to zip tie that back up. So nope, we're not going to do that right now, Caleb. Let's go back under the hood. So I'm literally starting over on my diagnosis. We don't do network resistance measurements on single line COM serial data. This is class 2 serial data. I was measuring air. No,
that's why it looked wrong.
How we got signals on pins 6 and 14, I have no idea, but we're about to measure pin 2, which is my serial data communication line. This is just single wire. So you're talking to the BCM is your, right? That's my BCM? Mm-hmm. So say, yeah. So I'm talking to the BCM, and then from there, I'm accessing other modules through the BCM. Okay. But these are just single, it's just a single network. Dumb. in any case, we're losing communication with everything when the thing acts up. So we probably
You know you're in the communication area.
yeah, and
Well, aren't you glad you picked this field to be in? You get nothing but headaches, man.
and I don't get paid to do it anymore. An hour and 31 minutes into this, and we've done nothing. How's that make you feel? Let's revisit this here. Let's go out of our multimeter. Let's go to our oscilloscope. Or no, I like the OBD feature better. Just the ease of use. OBD. And now we have to tell it it's not a can. It's not a can. So I have to tell it, see, which one is it? What do they call this? Class 2 serial data. I don't know the J numbers. Like, which one is it? See, I don't know my terminology. Which one is this? It's a single can. Would we call it a single can? A J1939 can? A J1850 pulse width modulated? I don't know my terminology here well enough. It's class 2 serial data. Let's just try single. Exit out of here first. Let's turn the key on. There's your waveform. That looks better. That's a 0.7 volt waveform. Let's trigger off that. And let's do some freaking wiggle testing, man. That's where we are. And this is where, damn it, I unplugged the radio. Like, we weren't even looking at the right stuff when I unplugged the radio. It still could be the radio. Still could have been the radio.
But is it still wiggle time?
Yeah, I mean, I got to recreate it now. It is wiggle time. So what do we do now, Caleb? What do we do now? I have network signals. I have communication. The car starts and runs. We did learn a lot about the Autel today, though, so far. So I'm happy about that. I'm sure Autel is happy about that too, me representing the tool better. So we could just have, like, we had some low voltage codes. How the hell did we get a signal at all on pins 6 and 14? I have no idea. Maybe just because of the box, like feedback from the box. I'm not revisiting that, I don't care. Yeah, look, something else I was not paying attention to is, like, pin 2 is the one that's showing me LED activity. Wonder why that is, Caleb.
Why that is?
Because that's the only pin that there's communication on. Because this is not a CAN network. Dumb ass. It runs, but it runs like poop. We got some weird looking things going on here, Caleb.
All right, where are we at?
We're just looking at the serial data network signals while the car is running. And I am getting some weird noise in there. I don't know, it's still kind of wiggle time, I suppose. So we have our ABS modules right here. Kind of wiggling that guy a little bit. Last class 2 issue I had was on a Cavalier. It was in my classroom at Rosedale Tech, and we had a bad ground going to the battery. Remember, we had some low voltage codes that I didn't like. So ABS, and then transfer case shift control modules underneath, PCM's over there, airbag system, instrument panel. Who knows where our problem's at? Just wiggling the ECM while we're looking at that serial data network signals. Those look good. Everything else is either inside the car or underneath. The transfer case shift control module, instrument panel, radio, transfer case one's underneath. The airbag module is beneath the center console. All right, I'm going back inside the car. I thought it was my light. I'm like, what's going on? Why is my light doing that? On the radio, there is a purple, it's a purple wire, 2 purple wires, A1 and A2. It could be those guys. These 2 guys right here, these 2 purple ones. Okay, that's those 2 guys. No, it is. A1 and A2 is not the ones I showed you, Caleb. It's these 2 on this side.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then those turn into basically nothing. The pink wire would be it. Pink wire comes down to this guy. This is connected to that circuit. This pink wire that goes into this, yeah, that guy. Which when the network was down, this thing was not functional. As soon as the network came back, it started dinging at me. And I had a battery charger on it. I'm gonna wiggle the ignition switch next, just to look at this line. Brake torque in reverse. Just trying to get the engine to move a little bit. Brake torque in drive. Brake, damn it. Intermittence. Now we're at a point where this can be frustrating because I needed to do it. We missed our opportunity early on. I mean, really we didn't. It was when I was initially identifying the vehicle and I had power going, or a charger connected to the battery, and I was just identifying the vehicle and it came to life. Something shorting it out though, son. We did have some pre-tensioner codes in the ABS system. We had some low voltage codes, if I remember correctly. So a lot of our codes were gone because I had disconnected the battery, at least in the PCM. BCM still has 11 codes. All kind of crazy codes in the BCM still. Those are the same codes we had. I'm gonna clear these. Passenger compartment dimming request signal circuit. The dimmer is this guy.
Wait, do it again.
Oh, it's not, that's your dome light override, but the dimmer would be the cluster up here, which, can we see that? Oh yeah, it's not functioning. Yeah, so the whole cluster's, looks like, yeah, not functioning. So I don't care about that either. I mean, it sucks for them driving this at night, but that's why that code's there. Weird that disconnecting the battery didn't wipe out the BCM info. Let's see our codes in our airbag system again. Seatbelt pre-tensioners. Let's erase those, see if they come back. You know what I really like about this erase code feature? When I erase codes, it automatically erases them and then rereads them for you. So
that's cool.
It is cool because in the past I'd have to erase codes,
then you gotta
then go back and
out.
read,
Yeah.
and which isn't a big deal, but it does it at once. That's absolutely a key feature because one of the things that new people do to this field is when they erase codes, they fail to go back and read them to make sure that they in fact erased. Yeah.
Do you have any specific questions you want to ask him about his truck or anything?
About this? Yeah, how do I make it do it? It's acting fine right now. The owner's coming over. I don't know if he'll care that he's on camera.
All right, man.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you. We got 2 codes back in the SRS. I think we're gonna put this up in the air and look at the transfer case module. Given what you guys missed in our last little segment here, we just talked to the owner, and this was a farm truck. It was given to his son, or his son gave it to him. It had been running fine, no problem for the 4 months he's owned it, just recently started acting up. but this being a farm truck, I really want to look at that transfer case control module and the wiring underneath. I guess I really don't need to run it. This is in the instrument panel, class 2 data link malfunction. Let's clear these. Device low voltage, that's in my ABS. See, that could be a fuse box related type thing. Dude, this is gonna be probably the only car we do today.
I don't care.
That AC one for Bill Stewart, I'd love to do that,
Yeah.
but that's gonna be very involved too. I just can't do another very
Do you have
involved
his
one.
number?
I think our next step on this, because I'm not able to recreate it at the moment, he said this
There's
was...
something with the wipers too going off for no reason.
Well, that's what he said, but that's going to be, the wipers are BCM controlled.
Okay.
So
that
if the
crashes
BC,
somehow,
your wipers are going to do all kind of stupid
Yeah.
stuff. And he
Yeah,
said
'cause
it's...
they put a wiper motor in and they put the wrong arms on.
That's what he
scratching
said.
Against the window or something.
Yeah, I ain't
but-
touching that.
But
And I don't know, the wipers aren't on the network,
But
so
there's the code for it.
there was. I cleared them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other stuff too, but
You know, it's like short the voltage codes and like weird stuff. You know what I mean?
I just need to make this thing not start. Unfortunately, I think maybe the battery charger I had on here had an effect too. Maybe we did have low voltage. Maybe we got a main power to everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna.
That's crazy, man. Because it like
I know.
for 2 days it didn't start.
Now he said also that, you know, he was having trouble like double footing it, trying to keep it here. I think his throttle body's dirty. The way that this thing starts up,
Yeah.
there's like no flare up at all.
But whenever it was cranking funny, like it would tip in and cranking and stop, you know what I mean, in the middle. Yeah, you'll hear some timing chain noise. It's got 170,000 miles on it. But I could not double foot it. Like it wouldn't stay
Right. Which it wouldn't with a class 2
Yeah.
serial, you know, data fault.
Did the injector power codes come through that somehow?
I had injector codes, but that's why I was thinking maybe low voltage, like to a module, could
yeah.
set some injector faults. But I think before we put this up in the air, Caleb, let's look at the power distribution box, and let's we should be able to do this with just key on. Let's go out under the hood. I'm just pulled my network signals back up again, and just given that we had some low voltage codes, I want to look in this box real quick. I remember these, the early ones like this, the fuse boxes, these would loosen up. These guys here would loosen up and then give you some crazy low voltage stuff. Last thing we want to do is like tighten anything. Just real quick on battery life. We've been filming now for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm using a screen recorder and I'm at 61% battery life. That's pretty damn good. There is no transfer case. Oh, there's no transfer case control module. It's two-wheel drive. Oh, the water pump's leaking. That's what that is. Leaky water pump coming out of the weep hole. Leaky water pump. Leaky water pump. Leaky water pump. Coming out of the weep hole. That's what I feel like doing, weeping. Yeah, so being underneath the car here, Caleb, is not really going to be fruitful because this is a two-wheel drive system. I never even bothered to look. That means there is no transfer case control module, which I should have known by the topology that we just looked at, that it wasn't there. Stupid! So me coming underneath and hoping to find some mouse and wiring damage is really irrelevant because it ain't here. It does not live down here. There is no fuel pump or transfer case control module. All right, that was not helpful at all. This would be where a bulletin search might come in handy. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a quick visual on some of these other pieces. We'll look inside, maybe see if we can find the airbag module. Holy shit. All right, while we're letting this thing go with the key on and watching this, let's go and check for bulletins. Come with me, bring that camera. What I want to find, technical service bulletins is what I'm looking for on this. You know, still that radio thing, it still could be possible. Body, ground, there's a bulletin, just an informational bulletin on electrical ground repair. But that's not car specific. This is just like all of them. So I'm not looking for that. Intermittent crank, no start. This is my favorite tool. Another generic one. 2013 and prior, all GM cars and passenger cars and trucks. Just talking about connector issues.
I usually don't drink pop. But
That smells like pop.
Well, it came with hot dogs. Smell like ketchup and
Nope,
mustard.
I only smelled the Pepsi. I need some help. Why don't you break that truck for me?
Oh, you didn't break it? I heard you yell my name. I thought you broke it.
No, the water pump's leaking. I just wanted you to see all the orange coolant that was all running down the front of that thing. I was just looking for bulletins. I got nothing specific. If it ain't broke, we got no video. In my genius mind, I'm like, oh, well, let's put it up in the air and check the four-wheel drive control module.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not four-wheel drive. That's my network signals, and they look a little wonky. You know, I'm getting some weird, the amplitude's changing, and I don't know that that's necessarily a problem, because sometimes you'll have like, you know, and like different messages, but I don't think that's normal. I think the amplitude changes of that signal is indicative. There's a big word of our problem. You with me on that?
Yeah.
I don't think it should look like that.
See, if my wife was here, the only thing she would have heard was dick. And she would have been like, what the hell do you say all day? How do you talk to customers? You know, it goes like this. You know?
So yeah, it even shows me on the diagram here a two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive option. There's just a loop for the Class 2 serial data. When you don't have a transfer case module, it jumps it. Fudge brownies.
So what now?
I don't know. It's all wiggle testing and a prayer. We could take this to lunch. We should do that. We have to leave everything rolling. You need to change batteries.
Yep.
We should do that. Wait, before we go and get this really hot, let me just do a couple more visuals of the harness and make sure we don't have anything like rubbing ground or some weird body computer thing. I'm just looking at my main engine harness. Main harness is there. Just smacking on the fuse box. I didn't want to tighten these up. I want to prove it if that's what it is. Beneath the center console for the inflatable restraint, so the airbag module. Inside the truck. Hey, I have an idea, Caleb.
What?
Let's unbolt the airbag module and turn it over with the key on. Because, you know, then things like this can happen. Holy shit. you know, someday we will bring you guys more of this case study. Someday. I wonder if the ECM's failing on this, because when the customer told us that he was having misfires and he bought like a set of plugs but didn't change the plugs because he couldn't find the plugs, and then we had all those injector codes, and then a complete, you know, network crash. Just wondering if maybe the ECM is not the one that's causing it. I just restate that. So we know we have a network problem, and I'm saying that maybe the ECM is wigging out and causing it, and that would maybe tie in our injector codes that we had. Remember, we had TPS and map sensor codes, and then we had injector codes, and it's possible that that it is the ECM. Now, on the flip side, let's say, for example, it's the BCM. Well, the BCM is also on the network, and if the BCM's crashing the network intermittently, maybe not all the time, like as you're going down the road, it's like skipping in and out, would that make this thing set false injector codes and those other codes we had in the ECM? See, it wants to stall right now, but I think that's because the throttle body's dirty. Yeah, absolutely. This is dirty throttle body symptoms all day long as far as the almost stall when I come to stops. So that's not my main concern. I don't want to switch off of this serial data signal that we're looking at. It's a waiting game now. What do you feel like eating, man? Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, Arby's.
Any of that sounds good.
I know you like your Arby's. Do you like Arby's? We can get Arby's. You know what? If I can't teach you guys anything about this car, at least as far as why the network is crashing, then I can at least try to teach you other things. And one of them is going to be looking at my PCM data and showing you what the throttle body looks like and how to interpret whether or not you have a dirty throttle plate. And I have some other videos on this. I'll link them here.
Tons of videos.
I do. And I'll link a couple. There'll be a little eye icon that pops up next to me here too, that is a link to probably my best one I've done, which is probably on my truck. So I'll link that one. But throttle actuator control, and I'm sitting here in gear with the AC on, and I'm at idle speed, and what you want to look at is the TPS percentage. Yeah, this TPS, throttle position desired and indicated angle. And then sometimes they'll give us a throttle body compensation number. Let's see if they have it. Yeah, they do not on this year. This is a 2005, so it's an older car, and they're not giving me the throttle body compensation. Put those up top. And when you get up into the 20% range, which where we are, that's a problem. So AC off, in park now, and I'm at 22% throttle angle. This is a dirty throttle body all day long. And that's why this thing is almost stalling every time he's coming to a stop, aggravated by the situation that he has going on too, of course. But this is absolutely a dirty throttle body, no question about it. So I'll let Danner know about that. And if it would be nice to show you guys a before and after throttle body percentage, TPS percentage. I'm not gonna do that because I've linked a video here where you guys can see that process, and that is not our problem with this car. This truck. This truck is a intermittent no start from a network, class 2 serial data network failure. That's our main problem. That's what we're trying to fix. You feel it get kind of rough right there as I came to a stop right here too. Feel how rough that got? I was gonna have you focus on the RPM gauge on the dash, and I can show you what Caleb and I are feeling, which thing's almost stalling every time I let off the throttle.
Hi, welcome to Arby's. I can help you whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll take a number 16, medium size with a Sprite. And can I have the double sandwich, please, with a Sprite?
All right, anything else?
Yeah, a number 14, the 5-piece with buffalo sauce. Yes, please. Make that one large size with a Sprite. And can you make both of them large size, please? See that dip in RPM right there in the red? Right where I just gave it just a little bit of gas, and like you see the normal idle. Let's see if I can pause this. How do I pause the data? See, with the steering wheel cut all the way, we just about stalled right there again. See that big dip in RPM? Yeah. That's dirty throttle body all day long, man. That's all day. Well, it's a high power steering load, and
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the reason why is the electronic throttle body, you're only given about 25% for all your idle load compensation. And so when your throttle plate's dirty, you're taking up all of the compensation air and it won't give you any more. So it's just not enough airflow.
Any other sauce besides buffalo?
Some Arby's sauce, please.
I'm sorry?
Just some Arby's sauce too for the sandwich. Thank you. This thing's running fine too, which sucks. I mean, other than the dirty throttle body.
8 a.m., yeah.
All you do.
You're supposed to say, ah, after that drink.
All you do is just
And then
look at the camera.
then you
and
hold
do
the camera up and say, Arby's, and have Arby's give us like $1,000 for saying that.
Yeah.
Ah. Come on, Arby's, where you at? Give us some money. We just gave you some free advertising.
Right,
Are we just gonna
fancy.
sit here and eat
Yeah.
in front of everyone?
Well, maybe you'll eat, but I'm holding this. So, no, we're gonna sign off.
No. Well, why don't you
I'll
eat
just
too?
Let you eat.
No, just leave a roll. That way, if anything,
It's balanced.
but if anything, look, it doesn't even have to be on us. Like, just set it down because we're looking at scan data here. All right, now let's leave it pause. I'll stop this data too.
Okay.
Did I already stop it?
What did you stop? You better not have already stopped it.
The recorder, where'd it go?
I don't know.
The recorder's gone. Okay, what's the date today? You can leave that off.
All right.
Check, 1, 2, check. Check, 1, 2, check. All right, guys, so after an extensive test drive and a lunch break, I can't break this car. So we're gonna walk away from it for now. I'm actually super frustrated because we just lost our recording and you guys may never see this video because of it. And my head is not in the game right now because of that, because we lost about 2.5 hours of footage, and I'm pretty upset about that. I think I would have maybe concentrated a little bit more on this. I don't know. I mean, we're at a point where if it's not broke, you can't fix it. That's where we are. We have a serial network that is crashing. We do have a dirty throttle body for sure on this thing, which is why it stalls on occasion, or almost wants to stall, and then he's got a leaking water pump. So we'll make Danner aware of those things, and I'll bolt the radio back up, and we'll give it back to the customer and have him bring it back, or I'll have my brother drive it, see if he can make it break again, and we'll go from there. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully we can recover this footage. We shall see. Guys, thanks for joining me and Caleb. I'll see you next time.